This is not good, Browns fans. This is not good. Kevin Stefanski's trying to screw us over again on his way out. Let's get into the video. Welcome into the Browns Report, fans. I am your host, Joey O'Donoghue. And before we get into today's show, make sure you're a part of our Dog Pound family. We are almost at 70,000 subscribers, 761 subs away. You guys are the best. It is totally free to hit that sub button. If you want daily Browns updates, okay, subscribe, join the family. And let's talk about the first part of today's show. And it seemed like this was a promising report from Diana Rossini from Cleveland Browns fans, okay? When the Titans fired Callahan, that's Brian Callahan, they asked his father, offensive line coach Bill Callahan, to stay on. And I'm told by a team staffer, he packed his stuff up and said, no thanks. He walked out the door. So Brian Callahan was fired by the Tennessee Titans. That was week 6. Okay, so Bill Callahan's been available since week 6. And Cleveland has had such an awful season offensive line-wise. I've been wanting us to bring back Bill Callahan. You've been wanting them to do it. Apparently he's been available. The Browns didn't do it. Well, guess what? He's got a job now, according to Adam Schefter. The Falcons officially have named the legendary assistant coach Bill Callahan their offensive line coach. He's going with Kevin Stefanski after all of this time. After all this time, it is official. The Falcons announced it today that Stefanski's bringing Bill Callahan back with them. You were here with us, Stefanski. Why didn't you bring him back this season? We're stuck with Bloomgren and an awfully coached unit that's missing blocks left and right that can't defend a simple twist. It's been disgusting. Stefanski just sticking it to us now. Remember, when the Browns had Bill Callahan, there was a major difference. In his first year with the Browns, the unit had the best pass protection in the league, according to ESPN. Cleveland also ranked 3rd in rushing yards per game in 2020, averaging nearly 150 yards on the ground. In Callahan's first 3 seasons, Cleveland finished no worse than 6th in rushing offense. By the end of 2023, they were still ranking in the top quartile of the league's offensive lines. PFF ranked the unit number 4 overall, despite injuries suffered by the group that season. I mean, every metric was better. Rushing yards, rushing average. The line was one of the best units. And this was the offensive line, okay, back in the day, way back when. Well, you guys remember Jedrick Wills in 2023. Joel Bitonio, Pocic was there. Also got Nick Harris at center from Seattle. Wyatt Teller was there. Dawand was there playing right tackle. Brought in Jack Conklin as well a couple years before. Notice any similarities? Yeah, just about every single player that's on our offensive line right now. Look at the depth chart entering the season for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it's the same players. Bitonio, Teller, Pocic, Conklin, and Dawand Jones, who obviously got hurt, went on season-ending IR pretty early in the year. And we brought in Cam Robinson, who's the worst player of all time. Literally traded for him. I don't understand. 68, get him out of here. But it's the same players. What's the difference? The OL coach. Accolades for Browns offensive lineman under Bill Callahan. Jack Conklin was first-team All-Pro in his first year with Callahan. Conklin, the guy who's robbing money. The guy who's hurt every day. Bitonio was 2-time first-team All-Pro. He made 7 Pro Bowls, all right, in his career. You know, Pro Bowl every year with Callahan, though, right? The 4 years that he had him. Teller was second-team All-Pro twice. Wyatt Teller was a 3-time Pro Bowler. Same guys, different coaching. It just helped so much when they were together, too. Now I'm a little concerned that Atlanta's going to look decent next year because, you know, they love to use the run game, and that's Stefanski's big thing, is then go to play action. But we were getting no yardage on first down, second down runs this year. Getting stuffed in the backfield towards the back half of the season, and then Shador's got pressure in his face every second. I mean, look at the Browns' tackles this season. This is the same Jack Conklin. Got one of the worst PFF grades for offensive tackles in the league. And everybody else that we tried to bring in, 2 that we traded for, Leviston and Robinson, worst PFF grades amongst all 89 that were given grades. Look at where the Browns rank. 87th, 85th, 79th, 73rd. It's a joke. So we wanted Bill Callahan back. Stefanski's taking him. And I mentioned the pressures. I'm not kidding. Look at this chart. At the bottom there, you see pressure percentage faced. Shedeur Sanders in a league of his own in terms of being pressured. Over 40% of the time, Sanders has faced pressure this year. Now, what's impressive about Shedeur is the left side of this, right, your y-axis. Well, those pressures only turn into sacks, around 23% of the time. It's actually not bad when you look at every other quarterback in that metric. You got guys like Lamar Jackson and Geno Smith getting pressured, and those turn into sacks nearly 45% of the time. Josh Allen as well. Baker Mayfield as well. And Baker's not even facing much pressure if you look at this chart. Shedeur's pressured more than anybody else. It's not close. Thanks a lot, Browns offensive line. Let me remind you of Nick Chubb, one of our favorite players to ever watch here in Cleveland. I mean, just look at the yards per carry, right? The average per rush for Nick Chubb every year. Obviously, got hurt in 2023, but 6.1 yards per carry, 5 yards per carry, 5.5 per carry, 5.6. Our offensive line was one of the best in the league during this tenure when Chubb was running the way he was. I wish if we could revamp this thing and get Callahan back, if that was ever a possibility, what that could do for Quinshon Judkins to beef up this offensive line, right? I mean, Judkins' yards per carry, or his average, went down to 3.6 in the back half of the year. We'll take a look at the numbers here on your screen for Judkins. 7 touchdowns. I mean, we saw so many good things from Quinshon Judkins, and unfortunately ended up getting hurt. And he was averaging like 5 yards per carry to start the year. It's just been on the decline ever since. Teams stacked the box. Offensive line can't block to save their life. So, Stefanski, you win this one. Well played, buddy. You win this one, my old friend. Take your Bill Callahan. You didn't want to bring him back for us. But I bet Cleveland will win the war at the end of it. We lost the battle, not the war. Atlanta fans are going to get mad at Kevin Stefanski very quickly. They're going to see what I saw. They're going to see what you saw the past 2 seasons. May I remind you, the Cleveland Browns were 31st in points per game last year. The year before that, 32nd, dead last. If you don't have a quarterback situation figured out, and Atlanta sure as heck does not, Michael Penix had season-ending injury multiple times in his career. You're going to get mad pretty quick. And Ian Rappaport tells us that Tommy Rees is a strong offensive coordinator candidate, sources say, to join Kevin Stefanski. Right? They're going to keep Jeff Ulbrich on defense over there, making some an excellent staff. So it's going to be the same thing that we watched. It's Stefanski and Rees. It's going to look a lot similar to the Browns' offense, and that was not good. And maybe they got more pieces over there in Atlanta. They have a real bona fide number one. Right? Drake London is this absolute stud. And they got Bijan Robinson over there. Absolute stud. But it's not crazy different. What sucks is they're getting Callahan, and that's the point of this video. Their offensive line is also much better than ours over there in Atlanta. Man, I wish we could have retained him, but this is bad news, Browns fans. He's going with Kevin Stefanski. It also kind of says, like, Callahan didn't want to be in Cleveland. He left us to go coach with his son, which I guess makes sense, but just shows nobody wants to stay in Cleveland. Anyways, I want to win this against Kevin Stefanski. So like the video right now if you want to win the quote-unquote breakup with Kevin Stefanski. If you want the Browns to be better than the Falcons, tap that like button and our new coach to run circles around Stefanski. Give the like button a tap for me. Let's try to manifest this thing. Okay, let's come together, Browns fans. Get this W. Got more to talk about on the back half of the show. Some major coaching updates for Cleveland as well. But first, I'll tell you about today's sponsor. That is PrizePicks. The big game is almost here. And there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. I love this app. It's a lot of fun. I win money. And I've been crushing it with the more on quarterback passing touchdowns in the playoffs. Since I can't watch my favorite team anymore, I want a way to stay entertained, have something to root for during these games. Are you missing your fantasy team? My league's already over. But with PrizePicks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft to keep playing fantasy. PrizePicks lets you play fantasy football every week, even in the playoffs. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. Here's what I'm rolling with for Sunday. Drake May, more than 199.5 passing yards. I like that pick a lot. I'm also going to go with Cooper Kupp, more than 1.5 receptions, and Devontae Adams, more than 3.5 receptions. I'm a big more guy. You can make a lineup just like that if you download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. That is code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Well, Mike McDaniel, breaking news, has just informed the Browns that he's withdrawing from their head coach search. He was supposed to interview with Cleveland on Wednesday, and all of a sudden, he's out. It's embarrassing for the Browns as an organization that a guy who was just fired by the Dolphins doesn't even want to interview for a head coach job. He'd rather take a lesser job as an offensive coordinator just to be in a better place, in a better system, better weather, probably. I mean, look, the guy's from coaching in Miami. He's not going to be doing well in the AFC North. So I did like McDaniel's offensive mind and his ties to the Cleveland Browns. He was a wide receiver coach in 2014, but it's clearly just not an option anymore. And this changes everything for the Browns head coach search all of a sudden, because when you look at their second interviews here, right, who was making it past that first round? Who's still going on in this process? Jim Schwartz got his second interview. Todd Monken getting his today with the Cleveland Browns. McDaniel was supposed to be tomorrow. And guess what? McDaniel was also satisfying one element of the Rooney Rule requirement. Okay, he was a minority candidate in this mix for Cleveland. But because they never got to an in-person interview with him, the Browns will need to add another candidate to interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule. Nate Shieldhouse, once they interview him a second time, will satisfy another element of it, but they can't interview him till later. I'll talk about him in just a moment. Grant Udinski is getting a second interview with the Browns as well. Not certain when that will be, most likely later in this week. Hey, Wednesday's free now, if you want it, Grant, but probably more like Thursday, Friday. That will be the case. Jesse Minter, also the Cleveland Browns, said they want to interview a second time, but he might take a job with the Ravens. He might take a job with the Raiders before that could even be the case, but he is at least on Cleveland's list. Like I said, the earliest for Nate Shieldhouse to complete his second interview with the Browns, and this one will be their first in-person one together, is Monday after the championship game. That's the earliest possible date that this could be, according to league rules. So Cleveland can't hire a candidate right now. They can't make an offer. They have not satisfied the Rooney Rule. And with McDaniel pulling out, there is now another element of you need to go out and get another candidate of minority or a woman candidate. That is the rule according to the NFL. Is this good or bad that Cleveland is going to not have a head coach next week while all these other teams are hiring their head coach, while all these other teams are taking candidates off the market? Okay, I think there's an element of being patient. There's also the aspect of, well, you're missing out on guys, right? What happened yesterday? Robert Saleh got hired by the Tennessee Titans. He took that job with a scheduled interview with the Arizona Cardinals today. That's right, he was supposed to be in Arizona interviewing. But he said he got an offer from Tennessee. Boom. I'll take it. John Harbaugh. The situation with him, he was supposed to be getting an interview with the Falcons. We know the Cleveland Browns wanted to interview Harbaugh in person. The Giants didn't let him leave the building. Give you an offer, you can't refuse. Boom, you're our guy. Takes the job. Other teams don't even get to talk to him after that. Happened with Jeff Hafley. He was supposed to interview with Arizona as well for a second time. Both Saleh and Hafley were supposed to have second interviews with the Cardinals for their head coach job. And Miami said, we'll give you a job. Boom, Hafley hired by the Dolphins. So you see the theme here, right? Teams are essentially poaching candidates from other teams by giving early offers, and the Browns are kind of sitting back, and they can't even make an offer if they wanted to. Now, the Ravens, I will say, are taking a similar approach to Cleveland, right? Our AFC North rival. A lot of like what they do in the draft, kind of sit back, let things play out, and then take your guy. Okay, but they're a completely different situation than the Cleveland Browns are, especially offensively. I'll tell you that. And I think what Cleveland is thinking is they are keen on a young candidate, like a Udinski, like a Shieldhouse. Those guys will still be available next week. They're not like the Harbaugh that everyone is going to offer the head coach job right away. That's it. You're our number one guy for everybody. Udinski will still be available next week if that is someone Cleveland is seriously considering. So will Todd Monken, probably. He can see this thing out. So I guess that's the perspective that the Browns are coming from, is they're genuinely treating this like a round of interviews. They're genuinely trying to narrow it down to find their guy. and then make that decision. There's no clear-cut, number one, we want this person, we're going to give you that offer. No, they have time to be a little bit more patient. So I get it. No rush. But you damn sure as hell better make the right decision. You better not lose out on a candidate you want because you're sitting back, sitting pretty. Let's get to work here. Let's get the guy in the building. Let's start going. Let's start moving. Hopefully next week, probably another week and a half now for Cleveland before they can actually announce this hiring, and I will have you covered when they do. But what do you think? Should the Browns hurry this thing up? Are we going to lose out on a candidate? And I will say those candidates like Halfley, right, Saleh, they weren't top candidates for the Browns. So I think that they're fine for now. But if you start losing out on someone you actually do like, right, like Joe Brady's getting a lot of interviews right now, that's where it could be a problem. So you let me know in the comment section. Type H if they should hire soon. Type B for be patient. Let this thing play out. You let me know in that comment section. And also hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Super fun hanging out with you guys here on the Browns Report. Had to give you the news today. I'm your host, Joey O'Donohue. Don't miss out on Browns news every single day. This coaching thing is coming down to the wire, and it's going to take an end pretty soon. So hit that subscribe button. I'll have you covered here, and I'll see you soon on the Browns Report.